Games.
Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. So what's your setup here? What are we doing?
Games!
Right, that's good.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep Pat and Dal waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Welcome to what is hopefully going to be the Gen Con episode of Contest of Challengers. For those of you who don't know, Gen Con is a gaming convention that is located in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it is, probably the biggest gaming convention in the country, if not the world, as the size of this show is said to rival that of the San Diego Comic-Con, and this is just for role-playing games. And as you may have heard us mention in episodes past, Dal and I are here to run the booth for Oni Press. Oni will have a comics booth here at a gaming show, and we expect it to do very well. They also have a gaming booth, but we are not part of that. I am recording this from the 17th floor of a Hyatt that is just across the street from the convention center, and it is Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Dal is working the store by himself Wednesday, so I am out here a day early because I'll be helping Oni set up the booth, and the show runs Thursday through Sunday. The goal of this episode is to record a lot of little snippets over the weekend as things happen, mainly wrap-ups in the evening as we wind down from a day, kind of like Ashley and I did back in San Diego in 2014, for those of you who are listening 4 years ago. And for the record, this is being recorded on the 9th anniversary of this very podcast. Our first episode went up July 31st, 9 years ago, 2009. Man, I can't believe we've been doing that for 9 years. I believe the store's been open for 10. I can't believe this podcast has been going for 9 years. Anyway, this will prove to be quite the adventure because I am not a gamer and I haven't played any games in quite a while. And this is for role-playing games and board games, but not video games. And as you all know, Dal's a huge fan of Knights of the Dinner Table, and they will have a booth here because not only do they produce comics, they produce books. I'm sure I will be entertained, and you will get to hear other voices this weekend from people that we know, maybe people we meet, who knows. So this serves as the brief introduction to this video, and all I can say from today's events is it was a 3-hour drive to get here, and parts of I-65 south were closed off, so there was some exiting and local roads, but it was a fine trip. It's a boring trip. There's really no sights and a lot of darkness. But I got here and I checked in, and this is the start. This is the start of Gen Con week. Day one, technically, not day one, really, setup day. What do you call this?
Half day? I don't
know. It's a full day so far.
It's a full day so far. It definitely feels like a full day so
5
far.
o'clock. We started at, 8:30? And we are not done.
Close.
We're doing good. We're doing good. We're on the floor behind our booth. Booth number, what is our? It doesn't matter. It's booth's going to be 55.
Yeah.
And I am with Brad Rooks from Oni Press. What's up, Brad?
Hey, how's it going?
Brad has been a tremendous supporter of Challengers throughout the years, as we have been of Oni, and he is literally the reason we are doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, we would not be doing this if it was Charlie in charge.
No.
Yeah,
it was
we all know that.
Yeah, given the opportunity to kind of expand our booth, it was easy to just ask you guys to come up and help. And I know with you guys doing the hybrid store and starting to get more into tabletop, it seemed like easy access to the floor and kind of see what's going on.
The idea of Challengers at a gaming convention is not that unheard of because Dal has gamed before. Yeah, but I feel vastly out of my element walking around here.
Last year was my first year at this show, and I felt the same. It was a show I always set up logistics-wise. Last year was the first time going. It was also very dangerous because I fell down like tabletop.
Sure. You're an avid gamer. Were you not before?
Never.
Really?
I ran deep with like the Monopoly and the Clues. You know what I mean?
Your classic family board games.
Yeah, family board games.
Yeah.
Like, my wife's probably got every version of Clue there is at this point. So and I've probably got Monopoly covered on my side.
How often do you play different Monopolies? Like, how often do you give me 2 or 3 different ones you have?
I've got Star Wars.
Okay.
That one's great.
Classic Monopoly.
Classic Monopoly. I just really like the figures on them.
Oh, okay.
They got,
because I was going to say
power lightsaber stances and things like that.
If you decide, hey, let's play Monopoly tonight, how do you pick which version? And is your son old enough to play?
He tries to play. He likes to move my guy.
Okay.
He likes to move my guy and roll the dice for me. But everything past that, he's only 5. So his game, the game that him and I play is a Terror of Meeple City, which is Rampage the video game.
Oh,
but they couldn't call it Rampage. And so,
you told me about this game.
Yeah. He loves that game because you can destroy city tiles.
Sure.
Yeah. You flick cars and stuff into
You literally destroy things as you play.
Yeah.
All right, so we've spent most of today setting up the booth. What is, and I know this is a tough thing to ask because this is an audio experience for people. Yeah. What is the goal? What is Oni's goal as a comic publisher here at Gen Con?
I think our goal at Gen Con, outside of kind of Charlie doing the crossover biz dev side of things and us, branching out with Oni Games as a publisher, I think it's just more expanding into, if you are into tabletop, you might know of comics, but there's so much cross media between the two.
Yeah.
That it's just really just trying to get the content out there.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I think that if you are inclined to play board games, role-playing games, and whatnot, then you have the capacity to be a comics fan.
Yeah.
The same way that there's a huge wrestling and comic book crossover. Yeah. Although I do know a lot of people who are dedicated gamers who don't touch comics.
And that's where I was last year with,
the other
comics
way.
and a tabletop.
Yeah.
And all it needed was just one game to kind of light the fire. And then now, I thought comics and music instruments took up a lot of space. My tabletop collection has gotten ridiculous over the last year.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody who didn't grow up having classic games in their home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even the small number games, your Yahtzees, your Scrabbles, your what have you.
Man.
But now I am overwhelmed. Like there are way more games, it feels, than comic titles. And there's a lot of freaking comic titles out there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, and I mean we've got Guardian just a couple blocks down from our office. And they are all tabletop with like a small section of old video games and whatnot. But yeah, going there every couple weeks and seeing what new thing there is, like there's just too much to soak up.
Because there's no like new game release day like there's for comics.
No, yeah, there's definitely not a strict like on sale schedule. Yeah, they fall a lot closer to like January of this year. Yeah. Not 25th of January.
But just like video games, there's this huge anticipation for new games, and people wait for it, and they start promoting it. A year and a half in advance.
And that's what's crazy about this show is so much of what is going to be the big sellers for fall and winter. These publishers are bringing in, a couple cases to a couple skids, early debut.
Just to get the buzz going.
Just to hype it up.
They're not even doing it just to make money. They're trying to do it to get brand exposure.
Yeah, it's brand exposure and people to play the game, so it's word of mouth. And that's what I love about this show, because most conventions that I go to, there's so much after hours, like the bar con, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's the same vibe at this show, but it's everybody bringing out whatever game they picked up and also having a couple of drinks and figuring out how to play this new game.
I've heard that the lobbies of all the hotels are where everything happens.
And all of them are connected via Skybridge, so it's really easy to just jump around and go meet up with friends at different hotels and see whatever's being played.
And it's also the hottest game of the show isn't necessarily what sells the most on the floor, it's what has the most buzz after hours.
Yeah, it's the most buzz after hours, and I guess that's probably it. It can't even be pre-show buzz. doesn't necessarily carry over.
Sure.
I've got a couple games on my radar, but I'm interested more to just see the demos of them on the floor, and then I'll kind of figure it out if I want to pick them up.
So a big game for Oni this convention is T-Dragon Society.
T-Dragon Society, yeah.
Based off of the graphic novel by the same name,
Yes.
available in Challengers right now. But the game...
Yeah, I was like,
game,
wait, did you already get a copy of the
No,
game?
the graphic novel. We don't have the game yet.
Not
we
yet.
will have the game, but yeah.
Soon.
Is this the official release of it? Or has it been out a little bit?
It's been out for about a month. About the end of June, I think, is when Renegade had their official on sale for
Okay.
it. And then we have a convention variant artwork cover that we did with Renegade as well.
And an exclusive pin for it as well.
And an exclusive pin,
You
yeah.
buy the game, you get a pin.
Pick up the game,
It's,
yeah.
it's an adorable pin. The pins showed up, Charlie.
And
They're
shut
over
up.
there.
They look real good.
Charlie, you can talk. People can hear you. It's okay.
I have a knife. I need a knife. Box.
I have a knife.
I'm actually putting the booth together. I haven't been doing shit the rest of the show, but you know.
But right now, I thought I'd look busy, even though we're not on
The
camera.
knife should be right behind me. Charlie, say hi.
Hi, I can't make visual jokes because I'm looking at a flag that says that we have a pin bazaar thing for Gen Con.
Literally, it came with the post at the other end,
Yeah,
and I had to fix it.
I'm like, what the heck is
He's
that?
holding like, it's upside down. It's upside down. It's right now. We fixed it.
Yeah, Patrick already fixed it, okay?
Was the knife over there?
Yeah.
How did it migrate to there?
I don't know.
Like everything is moving. It's There's just
one of those
three of
days.
us today. Dal isn't here until late tonight, and he megabuses it in. So it's
Megabus.
Charlie, Brad, and myself setting up today. You hear Charlie working in the background. I don't know if actually it'll pick you up. It might be too far away. But don't worry. There'll be other opportunities to hear Charlie this weekend.
Don't forget about me.
Charlie's wearing an egg slut t-shirt. He says it's a restaurant in LA, but I've never been there.
Shout out to LA Breakfast.
I think it's a lifestyle.
It looks like a Bone Thugs and Harmony shirt, but it says bacon, egg, and cheese.
It does indeed. I'm repping a Lucy Nisley, I Love You But I've Chosen Challenger shirt from 2-3 years ago. And Brad, you have...
Oh, shit. Fanagraphics? I don't even know.
It's
Simon,
Mega Hex.
Yep, it's Mega Hex.
Yeah.
Simon Hanselman.
I was going to say Megan Moog, but yeah, Mega
Yeah.
Hex, yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of weird shirts for this week.
I brought a couple Challenger shirts and a Jeremy Hahn Realm t-shirt because it's like I got a Cthulhu-esque monster. I think it fits in
Solid,
pretty good.
yeah.
But the shirt I'm most proudest, which isn't a word, to have here is because it's a gaming convention.
Yeah.
So I have my up, down video game channel t-shirt because that's gaming.
Hey, that'll work.
Right?
That'll work.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought this out in advance to bring those shirts because I thought, all right, that'll work.
I have most of my shirts that I brought are all San Diego Hall.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like, I intentionally underpack for that show because I know I'm going to pick up a couple
Sure.
shirts. Yeah.
Sure, I overpack everything, and I've got 2 pairs of jeans when I'm probably just going to wear one.
Yeah.
2 different vests, both identical brand. You won't
Yeah.
even be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, that's how I am with my jeans.
I bought
One particular fit, just buy them all.
Yeah, I brought my workout clothes, and I found the gym in the hotel, but I'm on the 17th floor, and it's on the first floor.
Yeah.
and I'm not going down
Yeah,
there. Plus, I easily hit I already got my step notification earlier today.
I always think
Just from
about
being
going
here.
to the gym when
Yeah.
I'm packing, and then convention happens, and that is like the last thing I want to do.
It would have meant bringing a 3rd pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I can just wear, I don't care if I wear these on a treadmill or whatever, it'll
Yeah.
be fine. And I did manage to talk Dal into not wearing suits for the show because...
Which I've never seen Dal not in a suit.
Yeah?
This
Yeah.
will be interesting.
But I mean, he would, if he were in a suit and the 3 of us were dressed like this...
Just down, yeah.
He would be a little bit out of place. And while he wanted to represent your brand fully, I said, you don't... like this is how they choose to be for their brand. You can do the same.
Yeah.
So he's still going to have long sleeve dress shirt and on-graphic tee underneath, but it'll be a different look. I was going to say if anybody hears this, they can come by, but they can't because his isn't going up
This
until
is
after the fact.
Next week?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Depending on how many pieces we get together to see if we can make a full episode out of
Yeah,
this
'cause I saw
running
your new
diary.
one just came out.
We did 2 last week just
I
to
know,
make
I
up
saw
for
the Zach one.
the gap, and then there was one after Zach that went up last night.
Oh, okay.
Like it was the last thing I did before I got on the road.
Got it.
Just to be able to
I got to catch up.
to fill the gap for next week. Well, like Sunday night, we're not going to put one up because we're here.
Yeah.
And then on the road late Sunday night. Also, so I can say we.
Yeah,
we got Kyle Starks from Rick and Morty and from Kill 'Em All and from Rock Candy Mountain.
Yeah, Rock Candy Mountain.
And we have Gabo, there we go, from Dead of Winter, featuring the dog Sparky.
He's a good boy.
Jam as well.
He's a good boy.
You know, I said Sparky, deliberately trying to get it wrong, and I got it right.
That's right. Nailed it.
I was trying to do it wrong. I've been calling it Dead of Night and calling the dog Lucky all day. Not to be funny, just because I keep forgetting. And so this time I tried to do it wrong and got it right.
It's all right. We're gonna get it sorted.
Right?
Okay.
We're
gonna be dialed in by tomorrow morning.
And who else? Who else we have?
We also have Kory Bing. She did the cover for our sneak preview of Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's a big. The teaser is out. This show, written by Jim Zub and Patrick Rothfuss, and Jim Zub is at the show.
Yeah, Zub is at the show. Yeah, I saw his booth. He was set up when we got here.
He's got his own booth.
He's got his own booth.
Oh man.
Yeah, and then Kory Bing is also. She has her own booth as well. And then
do they have an artist alley here?
Sort of, yeah. They've got on the other side of the hall. There's like a writers area, and then there's also like a small artist alley section as well.
And are there stores? Like San Diego stores can get booths.
Yeah. I don't know if there's actually stores.
And by that I mean local stores.
Yeah,
obviously
local
there's
stores,
national sellers.
I don't know if there's actually local stores on the floor. I know last year we were running around. I was running around with Kyle, and we found a tabletop store not far from the convention center.
Yeah.
And we had to go in, even though we're gonna live it for a week.
Sure. I mean, I would love to. What is there? There's a Downtown Comics here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I'd love to hit that, but there's gonna be no time for that. Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. We'll see. We'll have to check hours and see how late they're actually open.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We're out by 6.
6, yeah. And I imagine we're out by like
6:15.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long to break down.
I was talking about earlier how it'll take us a full day to set this booth up, and we'll tear it down in like an hour and a half. Sunday night, we'll be down and out of here.
Yeah, there's so much time to just noodle.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem, is just sitting here trying to figure out how you want to display things, but after 4 days of a convention, just put it in a box, tape it.
Yeah, get
just
it out.
Mixed items and go.
I feel like there's going to be a point Sunday night where I'm like, hey, I'm just going to run to the bathroom, and down I just bolt.
And just bolt.
Yeah.
Good seeing you guys.
You'll get a text like, hey, we got lost. Next thing you knew,
we found the car.
We were at the car.
Yeah. But while we're here...
I literally, I parked at a lot, like the lot connected to my hotel. It's very expensive. And they don't do it by day, they do it by hour. So I'm like, I'm not going to park there.
No.
So I found a lot a couple blocks down, a couple blocks south of the hotel. $28 a day.
Okay.
Much more reasonable than the things right around here in the convention center.
What's the valet option at the hotel? No valet option.
Well, I mean, the valet option is to that hourly garage.
Oh, oof.
Yeah, like the hotel literally doesn't. Yeah.
I'd much rather just ship it,
I mean, I imagine it'll be fine. Part of me is like, I should probably go back during the day. I'm like, no, just show up. Also, I got a spot right by the office, so I'm not worried about anything being broken in or whatever.
Yeah, you're close to, in theory, people being close by.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And it's only 2 blocks away. It's not that far at all. It's no big deal. But it was just a... I'll feel that 2 blocks lugging that case of Junior Braves back.
Yeah. It's all right. It'll be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. So hopefully this is just the, I was going to say first, but now second little snapshot of the show as we go along. I hope to do more of these as we have the time during the weekend. Probably mainly like nightly wrap-ups and stuff like that.
Nightly wrap-ups, yeah.
When there's time.
Depending on whatever Kyle and Gabo are planning. They're just cruising for this show. So I have no idea. I know that they're signing at our booth.
There we go. We'll figure out the rest of it as we go.
They're going to hang out. Yeah.
And I assume there'll be much more time to talk to Charlie later as well when he's not actively working hard at the booth.
I won't shut up.
Okay, winding down the day of setup, the Wednesday before the official start of Gen Con. As you heard from Brad and I talking just before, we built the booth today, which required physically building all the slat while putting it together. We made a neat little storage room in the back. I'm sure there's pictures you'll be able to see of the setup, most likely in the image header for this episode. But it was a productive day, but a long day. And even in all the conventions that Challengers has done in our history. We've never had a day this long with setup, but there was a lot to get done and a lot to do, which is the same thing, but said two different ways. But we got it done, and it's a good setup, and it really showcases the best of what Oni has to offer, with some licensed stuff, but a lot of creator-owned stuff, and they have a lot of big things in the works across all media. But not only that, we found out what the big new game is in the near future, like launching in Q4 of this year, and it's a big deal, and it's a thing that challengers will definitely be carrying. It is a new card game from the creator of Magic the Gathering, and it is called Keyforge, and it is a single deck game. Each person buys a deck, and they play. Here's the catch. Every single deck is unique. Every single deck is its own deck, and that includes the card backs. The card backs per each deck are different. And it's not like, there's 10 different ones that rotate around. No. Every single deck you buy has unique cards and a unique deck back. They estimate that the deck possibilities are 100 quadrillion possible deck combinations. 100 quadrillion. It's not boosters. It's not expansions. It's a deck. You buy a deck, you play. You win or you lose. That's it. You may beat somebody with your deck. You may lose with that exact same deck to somebody else. But every deck is different, and it's taking the collectability out of card gaming. And I looked at the art and said, oh, it's like their version of Overwatch, but it really isn't. And the rules weren't up at the time that we heard this announcement and got to play with some decks, but they're probably online now. It's a very interesting concept, and it already had Charlie and Brad and I throwing around a whole bunch of different ideas for things that Oni could do with it. And there were some immediate interactions on Twitter with people involved. I want to say Richard Garfield is the guy's name. I'm not looking at it, but I think that's the name of the guy that creates Magic. And other big gaming announcements which don't have a lot of meaning for me would be Arkham 2 is a big thing. New Legends of the Five Rings. I'm not even going to try to talk about new gaming announcements because you'll be able to find those. You can find those online easy enough if you care. But yeah, this new card game is, man, it's going to be interesting. I guarantee you we'll be carrying it, though. Aside from that, it was an 11-hour day on the show floor, and I easily logged all my steps today. My Fitbit is currently at 15,000, which is just walking to and from the convention center a few times and to and from hotels. No other working out. Even though there is a fitness center here, I knew it was going to be too long of a day. And tomorrow, Thursday, the first day of the show, has an extra hour VIP hour. So it opens at 9 instead of 10. And that means we need to be on the show floor at 8. So that means we have a preliminary meeting with Brad and Charlie and Kyle Starks at 7. So it is going to be a long one again tomorrow. And at that point, Dal will be here. And I hope to get a couple more people on this episode, like Cory Casoni from Table Titans is just a couple of booths away from us. And you'll remember him from a gaming episode about a year ago now. And their Brynwyn's Minions Kickstarter project, they have that here. But ours are I just got a shipping notification that we'll be getting them in the next couple of days at Challengers. So that's a thing that we talked about back then, and here it is now. And then they'll be working on Table Titans 3 and 4, which is a lot of the Brian Hurt stuff. And it's possible Brian Hurt and maybe Matt Kent and Chris Schweizer are going to be at Gen Con this year because they were last year, but just as fans, I guess. So maybe they'll be around. And if they are, I'll try to talk to them, but maybe not. I don't know if they'll be here or if we'll have the time because it's fixing to be pretty busy. This is a big show, and there are a lot a lot of people. And even right now, in the later hours of the day, everybody is meeting in lobbies and gaming, and that's what the fun of the show is for most people. And I was invited to game, of course, but I'm tired, and I wanted to get back here in the hotel and talk to you about how the day went, but also just relax a little bit and be off of my feet. It's a cement floor, and I have definitely comfy shoes more comfy than I usually wear at the store, but I wore them pretty thin today, like the insoles are coming out when I took them off. But that's just because a lot of walking around and a lot of pressure on them. But hey, that's what conventions are about, right? So yeah, 4 days of the show coming up, and you'll hear more about it almost immediately. Okay, so it's the end of the first day of the show being open to the public.
Yeah, day one.
It's not the end of the day.
Well,
but it's later in the evening.
Yeah, at this point, the show floor has been closed for about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, but the show floor being closed at something like Gen Con is like a minor inconvenience, not the end of the day.
Yeah, the show happens everywhere.
We were not to get ahead of ourselves, but as we were walking out of the show at the end of the day, I asked one of the people that we were working with today, hey, if I come back here later, like, where are the games? Like, where do I go? And he literally just pointed across the hall from where the show floor was and went, there, everywhere. Everywhere you go, there will be a game. Like, oh, okay.
So, Dal, since you are here now...
I am.
And you have yet to be on this recap episode.
Correct. I was not on the day zero part of the podcast.
Oh, there have been a couple of recordings.
Okay.
Like three so far.
I was only informed of one of them.
I think this is the fourth version.
Okay.
Or fourth snippet.
Okay.
I was going to try to get a little bit at dinner, but then I realized that it was not conducive to that at all.
No.
Do you want to talk about your experience getting here? Do you want to talk about Megabus at all?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So way back when Patrick and I had been offered the option of coming to work with Oni at Gen Con, some of it was the tricky thing of like, how long do we want to be gone from the store? And part of working with Oni, for Gen Con, meant being in Indianapolis on Wednesday to set up, because the show floor opens Thursday. So...
And as I heard a little while ago, we needed that entire Wednesday to set up.
Yeah, so it would have meant, essentially, if we both would have attended every single day of the show, that meant both of us would have been out of the store on a Wednesday. And while certainly we are okay with leaving the store for shows and stuff in the past, there's never, I think, been a day that neither one of us has worked a Wednesday.
No.
And that's, at this point in Challenger's lifespan, it's a little too far for us to go. That was the thing where we're like, doesn't feel comfortable. So my suggestion to Patrick was he drives up Tuesday night. That way he's in Indianapolis on Wednesday, and I would take a Megabus up Wednesday night, because I'd investigated it, and it picks up downtown near Union Station, so it's pretty easy to get to from Challengers, and it's only like a 3.5 hour drive from Chicago, so it's not a huge time to spend on the bus. And the tipping point, $5.
Yeah,
cost $5 to reserve a basic seat on Megabus. So I'm like, even if I decide to go a different way, and I looked at like trains and other stuff, and it's like the trains, the times it was leaving were super bad, and looking at things like renting a car, like it's incredibly expensive to rent a car if you do not bring it back to the same place you got it from.
Yeah.
So renting it in Chicago and dropping it off in Indianapolis was not going to happen. So Megabus is what I did. It worked out really well, actually. It's the first time I've taken it, and it really is just, it's like a 3.5 hour bus ride. You get on, and I was watching stuff on my phone and playing games on my Switch, and then it dropped me off like a 10-minute walk from the hotel in Indianapolis, and so I was able to get in to the room before 11, I think, a little before 11. So I was able to get a full night's sleep, because we had to get up super early Thursday morning.
Yeah, pretty early.
Yeah, we...
Basically 5 o'clock.
Yeah, we got up at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, which for our bodies is 5 a.m. Central Time.
Which I know there's people listening who say, I do that every day.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah, and I kind of guarantee you that people who have to get up at 5 a.m. Central Time usually don't go to bed at 11 p.m. They probably go to bed a little earlier. But yeah, that was how I got to Indianapolis.
So our day started with a a breakfast meeting with Oni and some auxiliary Oni staff and adjacent.
Yeah. And then we, after breakfast, made our way over to the convention center. A little bit of prep work beforehand. We got the VIP hours and pro hours started at 9 a.m. So we had a little bit of time to tweak stuff at the booth, to put some stuff out, to set things up.
For the record, there's going to be way more tweaking tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah. There's things that we haven't been able to do that we'll be able to do tomorrow.
Okay. I look forward to it.
Oh, you say that now.
And then, yeah, we started the show, and that's Gen Con.
It was immediately packed, and from all accounts of people that have worked Gen Con before today wasn't busy.
Yeah, it was kind of weird how they corralled people outside, because we got in and we come through different parts of the building, so we didn't really see a lot of the right outside the front doors.
There was a lot of that yesterday. I think I forgive me. I forget what I've talked about, especially since there wasn't anyone to bounce it off of. It was just me.
Sure.
And the long lines of people who were just in line to get their
badges and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, at one point, right before I think the pro hours started, and then the VIP hours, I realized I was thirsty, and I said I was going to go get a bottle of water, and then kind of everybody at the booth needed something, so I'm going out and getting 5 bottles of water and soda. And I'd asked Brad from Oni, hey, where are the vending machines? It's like, oh, you're just going to go out this door right over here, and then it's like a quick left. I'm like, okay, great. So I went to go out those doors, and there were 2 convention center people saying nope, and they pointed me around the corner, because those side doors do not open until the actual general admission is let in. At this point in the day, they are still very much making sure these 2 doors people can go in and out of. Nothing else is open yet. So I had to go around, and I went out the door, and this was not the door we'd come in at, so I went out the door, and immediately there is a wall of people. It is thousands of people packing in this area, to the point where I had to the direction Brad had told me to go, and I'm like, I cannot go that way. There's too many people. They're not going to let me through. So I ended up having to ask another convention center person, where are the vending machines? And she told me where they were, and I eventually found stuff and was able to make it back. But even making it back, I got so turned around coming back, because there were people everywhere. I could not get my bearings. Just an insane amount of people outside waiting to get in.
But you got the water, so that was good.
Yeah, I got the waters and the sodas, and everything worked out.
This is obviously both of our first times at Gen Con.
Correct.
And there have been a lot of differences I've noticed between comic conventions and gaming conventions, comic fans and gaming fans. And again, I feel like I might have talked about this on last night's wrap-up, but it was so much more evident today.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Sometimes people would come up and say, either people that we knew before, people who knew that this was our first Gen Con, they'd say, how does the show look? What's it look like to you? And I'd say, every show looks like the same from this side of the table. And they do. I mean, I've tabled at different kinds of shows, and I've tabled in different cities. And honest to God, there's a lot of differences to an attendee, but to an exhibitor, I'm just selling books to people,
Yeah.
I'm on this side of the table, and I'm answering questions about the books that we've brought and the deals that we're doing and what's special about whatever, and I'm chatting them up to make their experience fun. But it's, I'm asking the people at C2E2, same thing I'm asking people at BEA, same thing I'm asking people at Gen Con. How's your show going? You having fun?
Yeah. But what I was going to get at was the attitude of a lot of the people that are here. I saw an exchange like this happen numerous times, and it blew my mind. Everybody has big backpacks. Everybody has big bags. Everybody has bulky things.
You do. I've been hit with a few of them.
So somebody would turn, and their backpack would hit somebody. They'd immediately turn around and say, "Hey, I'm so sorry." Mm-hmm. That doesn't happen at comic shows.
Yeah, I was walking around the show floor. I did not. I saw a couple I'm sorries, but I saw at least one. Somebody stalled in the aisleway, and their bag was very big, and they were carrying their miniature case, and they were sort of milling about, and someone just sort of plowed through their backpack to the point where the person spun 45 degrees, and neither of them said anything.
Okay. Well, most of my experiences have been very different at Comic Cons.
Okay, I'm glad.
And when setting up, like, all of our neighbors are all super friendly and like, hey, can I borrow some tape? Sure. Like, everybody.
At one point, I was in the behind the booth section getting some stuff, and I was coming back out the table just on the other side of us. There was a kid there, and he had like a box, and he was trying to maneuver his way around a banner, and he was having a real tough time of it. I'm like, hey man, can I give you a hand? Like, can I hold that box for you? So I held the box. He was able to get around, and I helped get him the box back. And, it was just
And so you never would have done that at Comic-Con.
I probably would have. I've always tried to be polite when tabling, unless someone has been a jerk, in which case then it's cold shoulder for the weekend. But I try not to go in with that attitude.
No, you still talk to me.
We'll see. Weekend's not over.
It's just everybody is so excited.
They really are.
It's such positivity. It makes me kind of sad for comics, really.
But yeah, I've definitely seen a more diverse crowd than I have seen at comic shows, which is great. And I think one of the things that we were talking about as we were leaving the convention center today was that one of the big differences between comic shows and game shows, at least that I've seen in the one day that I've worked at a gaming show, so now I'm in authority, is that it feels very much like people are looking for new things to try, new things to learn, and new things to experience at a game show. When at a comic show, it is very, these are the creators I like, I'm going to get stuff from them. These are the books I read, I'm going to get more issues of them. There's not this sense of discovery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I absolutely know what you mean. Something else that doesn't happen at comic shows is how everyone, for the most part, there's a few examples, but everybody is fine with the prices.
Yeah.
There's no haggling. There's no, oh, this is too much. And a lot of it is because they're buying $50, $100, $150 game boxes or setups. So
yeah, at that point, the $13 Princess Ever After doesn't seem like that bad a deal.
There are a ton of pins at this show, and there is a company that made pins for a bunch of different booths, like, I don't know, 40 different booths. They all have a sheet of paper with a little checkbox.
Yeah. Pin Bazaar.
But they go to buy these pins. And not only does Oni have a T-Dragon Society pin, but the people, Renegade, who do... no, not Renegade.
Plaid Hat.
I'm sorry?
Plaid Hat Games.
Plaid Hat, who did Dead of Winter, have a Sparky pin. Mm-hmm. So we got some of the Sparky pins at the booth as well, and so many people come just for the Pin Bazaar pins.
So and the add-on stuff is always really fun at a show when you're not having to like hard sell somebody something or try and like talk someone into a purchase. When things just generate sales, it's always like this fun alchemy. There was a woman who was going to get the chamomile pin from Pin Bazaar, and she's like, but she had said, I was looking to get your exclusive pin. I'm like, well, we actually have 2 exclusive pins. She's like, oh, what are they? I'm like, well, this one's chamomile from T-Dragon Society. Oh, yeah, that's the one. Okay, we've also got this other one, which is Sparky from Dead of Winter. What's Dead of Winter? I'm like, well, it's post-apocalyptic board game, but Sparky is like a hero dog in the post-apocalyptic zombie game. Really? I'm like, yeah, we actually have a graphic novel of it right over here. And so she's like, great, I want the pin and I want the graphic novel. And, oh, hey, the writer over here is the writer for the graphic novel. And like, oh, and so she got it signed. And it was this, like, fun thing of, like, her experiencing something new, but at the same time, oh, hey, that's an extra $30 we made. Just off of, like, by the way, there's another pin.
At the booth all weekend are Kyle Starks from mainly Rick and Morty, but Rock County Mountain, Kill 'Em All, Sex Castle, and Gabo, our good friend who's signed at the store before, who also he was the artist on Life After from Oni and the artist from Dead of Winter. Yep. And Kyle is amazing at selling.
He is.
And not just his product, everybody's. And he's really like Henri Kampmann level of interaction with people as they come by.
Yeah. He takes being at a show seriously. It's a lot of like, let's maximize everyone's time. You know?
But it's great because it's a 200 square foot booth. There are people that need help up and down.
Yeah.
There's no set line. It's just whoever needs help, you help.
Yeah, I mean, essentially we've created, I think, just by being people who have worked shows a bunch of times, kind of 3 stations.
Yeah. Well, there's only legit 2 checkout ones.
Right, but I mean, we usually have, like, someone is by the end of the L shape.
Yeah.
Which is where the Rick and Morty graphic novels are, which is where the artists are signing, which is where some of the pins are. Then there's the part of the vertical part of the L. There's the lower part, which is Kaiju Max and My Boyfriend is a Bear
and
The Damned and all of that stuff. Then there's kind of a break, which is where the Rick and Morty preview comics are.
And the pin board.
And the pin board and the sketch covers. And then there's the section just above there, which is the third station, and that's T-Dragon Society board game, the Scott Pilgrim game.
All the Scott Pilgrim hardcovers and sets.
The T-Dragon Society books, Princess Ever After books, the Invader Zim books. Like, all of that stuff is kind of a section. So, like, people are always stationed in at least two of those three stations.
Yes. One of the big products for this show is the preview book for Rick and Morty versus Dungeons & Dragons.
Sure.
And it's written by Patrick Rothfuss and Jim Zub. Jim Zub is at the show.
He is.
And it's a 16-page preview because the actual book doesn't come out for a month yet. But it's also a Gen Con exclusive. You can take the comics fan out of the convention, but he doesn't know what conventions he's at.
What show is this?
It is a Gen Con exclusive cover. And that is generating a lot of interest. We have a 2-foot by 8-foot image that to catch people's eye as they walk by.
Just on the corner, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of debate as to how that was going to get hung up and where it was going to go.
Sure, that's a good spot.
And then there's a life-size Sparky the dog from Dead of Winter, which is also there. And again, we had a whole different plan for Sparky, but that changed during the
Sparky ended up just sitting on the table in the corner.
So people are coming by for the Rick and Morty book. People are coming by for the T-Dragon Society game.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And but they're easy. You can say, oh, here's this other this graphic novel.
It reminded me again. It didn't remind me so much of comic shows, but it reminded me of Book Expo or ALA.
Yeah.
Where there's this sense of like, you know, at a comic show, it is very much like people are looking for deals or they're looking for a specific thing that they already know about. Like, this show has that sense of like, what is T-Dragon Society? Tell me about this book. Oh my God, it sounds great. I want to pay $18 for that.
Yeah, because $18 is a low price point for this show.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the things that we've been selling continuously are the $65 Invader Zim Volume 2 exclusive cover. And the $50 Scott Pilgrim board game.
Yeah.
Like,
when I was unpacking yesterday, it was like, okay, we have 3 extra cases of Invader Zim Volume 1. We have 9 cases of Invader Zim 2.
Yeah.
And it's like $15 more for Volume 2?
Yeah, the Volume 2 is $65, the regular retail release for Volume 1 is $50.
Because it has a flocked cover, and it's the Oni exclusive.
And it's limited.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. Like, it's the same thing for the Scott Pilgrim Color Editions. Color Edition's $25, Evil Edition's $40. Difference is the cover, and it's limited.
There's a lot of Oni exclusives that they do.
Yeah.
All of their Rick and Morty trades that they sell at shows are A, exclusive covers for Oni and their shows, B, all the same artist and all the same theme.
Yeah.
The skeletal cutaways of all the characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the kind of thing where even if they don't have all of them out at a show, by the time the next year's show rolls around, you'll want that because you got the other 3 or 4. It's a smart way to do it. There was someone today who bought the Invader Zim Volume 2 hardcover because she had bought Volume 1 last year.
And she knows she'll buy Volume 3 next year.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good scheme. It works pretty well.
There's a lot of last-minute programming we had to do to put new product or product that wasn't in the system, so we could just push buttons or what have you to ring it up. But somebody who was programming it ahead of time got a little ambitious and programmed in some things that aren't come out yet. And since often I have the pad flat, there's the next Rick and Morty volume, which is a Crumboculus Michael cutaway for the cover. People are like, what's that one? I'm like, that's coming out next month. Sorry, just a little early.
Don't worry about it.
This is a little early. But yeah, I mean, if they come over, like some people see the Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons and say that's not a thing, or they think it's a game.
Yeah,
which is understandable because we're at a game show.
A few people had picked up the Invader Zim hardcovers because they're shrink wrap and go, "Oh, this is a game," and it's like, no, it's a comic book.
But then
which seems common sense to me, but because of the packaging, it's very easy to just assume like this must be some weirdly packaged game. Like, no.
But then we have all of the Rick and Morty trades. It's easy to say, oh, here's Kyle Starks. He writes them.
Yes.
Well, he's only of the 7 there. He's written 4 of them.
Right.
But he's like, I'm the Rick and Morty guy. I'll sign anything.
Sure. And most people don't care. Like,
right.
They're not going to check it against the math later.
Yeah, Dead of Night is an easy sell. You can say, here's the writer and the artist.
Yeah.
And they'll both sign it for you. And it comes with an exclusive card for the game that on its own I was told is like a $25 card on eBay.
That's great.
And the book is only $20.
Yeah.
So you can get a book and earn $5.
Sure.
if you successfully sell it.
You can have someone pay you $5 to take your graphic novel.
Dal, you walked around the show floor for like the last hour.
I did. I did not get through the entire show floor.
In an hour? No way.
Yeah.
Even if the floor was empty and you weren't looking, you couldn't walk up and down every row in an aisle. An hour.
Well, one of the things that gets said about Gen Con is it's like San Diego, but for games. So for people who have more of a comics context, San Diego is the largest comics convention in the United States. On par with New York Comic Con, but I think it's still considered the largest convention just because of the amount of people who show up in San Diego for it. I don't want to litigate that. But Gen Con is the largest games convention, I think, in the United States. And it's similar to San Diego in that trying to walk up or down an aisle is a goddamn nightmare.
Yeah.
Because no matter how wide they make the aisles, they're crammed full of people. And maybe more so than at a comics convention, they're carrying a lot of stuff. Like Patrick said, a lot of backpacks. There's a lot of just people with arms full of games. Or people that are slowly walking down an aisle and sort of looking from left to right to really take it all in. And I don't blame them for that. It's a gigantic convention. They probably paid a lot of money to be there, and they want to really enjoy the experience. But if you're, say, walking down an aisle, not browsing, walking, it can feel incredibly irritating to try and just traverse it. So a lot of the reason that I wasn't able to finish it in an hour, I wasn't really browsing booths. I was just trying to get a sense of the show.
Yeah.
So I could literally just walk down an aisle, turn my head each way as I'm walking, and go, okay, that's a games booth, that's an anime booth, that's a kilt booth, whatever. But it's having to slow down because someone is on their phone, talking to someone next to them, trying to figure out where they want to go next. Someone else holding hands with someone as they're, looking at the edges of this booth, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, just get out of my way.
I apologize.
Where is the fast lane
I'll
for this?
I'll stop grabbing your hand as I walk.
I appreciate that. So I got through maybe 2/3 of the show floor. At some point over the next couple days, I'll want to take half an hour and just do the other half of the other third of the hall, basically. But I did the things I wanted to. The main thing I wanted to do was stop by the Kenzer and Company table to tell Jolly Blackburn that I appreciate his work. And I got to talk to him for a little bit, and I told him how grateful I was that the one time I was able to stop by his booth, he was actually there.
Yeah. Because
occasionally you don't know. Like, you go by, and it's like, oh, I want to say hi to this guy whose work I like. Oh, they're not here right now. They went to get something to eat, they went to the bathroom, they left for the day, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was there, and Steve Johansson was there, and Steve Johansson was able to go, this is the guy whose store is by where I live.
Nice.
And I got to pick up, I wanted to pick up something from them, because like we said on past convention episodes, I never want to go to someone's booth, say, I love your work, and then not spend any money. They're there to make money. I don't want to waste their time, essentially. So I bought, I've ordered everything else that they have coming out from Diamond, so I'm already getting it. But I bought the new issue of Knights of the Dinner Table that hasn't shipped from Diamond yet. I think it's maybe this coming week, or next week. But it was the one that actually had the letter that I'd written for the first Correspondence Club that Challengers did. It got to them, and they printed it. And they even made a little notation of, like, I hope we translated your handwriting okay, because it was a handwritten letter that I did at Correspondence Club. And, my handwriting is probably not great.
Did you mention in the letter that it was part of a Correspondence Club?
I don't remember if I did or not. I'll have to reread the letter. I don't think I did. I think it was just a general, like, I want you to know that I care about your book.
Also, I forgot that it's in my bag, and I just dropped my bag over there, so maybe, getting crinkled or something.
Like I told you before, I got another one coming.
Sure.
It's fine. Then I got to ask a few, nerdy continuity questions, where it's like, because I've been rereading these things continuously, there's a few things that on the 5th or 6th read-through, I'm like, hey, that plotline never got resolved. So I got to ask, hey, I got questions. And I prefaced it with, you can take a mulligan on these if you don't remember any of this stuff. That's fine. This is work you did 10 years ago that, again, didn't result in anything, so you probably just changed your mind on it. But it was fun to be able to do that. The thing I still need to do, and I don't know if I passed by it or if I didn't get there yet, is Hasbro is doing a Transformers card game, and at both San Diego and Gen Con, they are giving out or selling a promo pack. And I have to find out where that is. I saw a giant Dungeons and Dragons section, but I didn't see anything for this Transformers card game. So I might have to talk to somebody about that tomorrow, or try and early in the morning try and figure out where it's at. Maybe I'll find a
Here's
thing.
the thing I learned today that may or may not be of value to you.
Mm-hmm.
Brad is a Transformers guy and has a Transformers hookup. but the things
Okay.
he's interested in,
Uh-huh.
like they did a Transformers Wu-Tang mashup, the stuff you wouldn't care about at all.
Oh, they did a Wu-Tang one? They did a
Yeah.
Linkin Park one.
They did a Wu-Tang one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he
The
and I
last
said,
weird one I got was that Primitive Skateboarding did a black repaint last year's New York Comic Con, I think. And
Yeah,
it's
so-
pretty weird.
you can ask him about that tomorrow.
I will be sure to. I'm sure I'll see him.
So that's the experiences from the first full day. Oh, by the way, we did killer business today.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I talked about my day a little bit. How was your experience? I mean, I know you stayed behind the booth the whole time.
Yeah, I actually I do. I don't know if I'll get to it, but I do want to go over to Goodman Games because my buddy Tim writes some of the games for them, and I'm pretty
cool.
sure they're D&D compatible.
Okay,
And I know there's some stuff that we could probably have for the store.
sure.
Tim and I worked on Detritus, the metal e-zine, for a long time.
Okay.
If anyone's ever heard me mention that before, or knows me personally, but they're literally booth like 117, and we're 2655.
Yeah, other end of the hall.
So I don't know when I'll get over there. The rush of people at the beginning of the day, I'm like, there's a lot of people here. I'm really glad I'm behind this table. And the thing that's kind of neat about the Oni setup versus a Challenger setup is Challenger setups are wide open for everyone to come in.
Yeah.
This is a definitive, here's where we are, here's where you are.
Yeah, there's a table separating us, and then behind here is all of our space to use.
And there's not room for chairs back there. Like a chair would block the whole thing.
Right.
But there's plenty of room for two people to pass by each other and not
Yeah,
get
I
in the
don't think
way.
we ever got in anyone's way today.
And we do have a little storage area in the back, which is also, hey, here's a chair. Yeah. You can go there to, and I think I said this before, this is a Brad quote, you can go eat a sandwich outside of the public view, which we all took advantage of that at one time or another.
I wasn't able to.
Well, you tried to, yeah.
Yeah, at the time that we were getting lunch, like, somebody was back there eating, which means there's no room for another person.
Right.
So I basically took a box full of Long Con number ones and turned it sideways, and I was able to sit on that as I ate my oversized chicken sandwich and still occasionally answered a question or two. The two weird conversation topics that came up today that I think are maybe worth mentioning because it reflects my own unfamiliarity with Gen Con. The first was, as the non-VIP people started to come in at 10 a.m.,
Yeah.
you could see people very quickly walking down certain aisles. Like, they had places they needed to get to. And I remember saying to Brad, who was next to me at the table at the time, what is it that they could be running towards? Because, like, when we were at comic conventions, like, okay, they're running to, this specific exclusive booth. Like, what exclusives like that are at a gaming show? Like, I don't understand that culture. So, like, I wanted to stop somebody to go, like, what are you rushing towards? But the very fact that they're rushing towards it means
you can't stop them.
I can't stop them. They're going to lose out on something that they're excited about. So I think tomorrow, if I have a moment with somebody who's killing some time later in the day at the booth, I might go like, "Hey, have you been to these before? If this is your like 6th or 7th one, okay, so yesterday morning, like first people are running that way. What were they running to? Like, what were they trying to get to?"
The new Hasbro card game giveaway.
But that's the thing. Like,
I meant Transformers. Damn it! I forgot to say Transformers in that sentence.
There's it's like a standard show in that there's this center section where all the big vendors are. That's where, the gigantic, 2,000, 3,000 square foot booths are with, huge setups and lots of table space and and that's another thing. Like, because it's a gaming show, so many of the big sections are just rows of tables.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a ton of space to demo, to play games, to whatever, and that's so different than the way that comic shows do it, where, think of like the Image booth at C2E2, and it's this gigantic structure that it's just a ring of the outside that you get to access.
Yeah.
Everything inside is, more storage space or places for them to eat or take meetings or whatever. This is the opposite. It's all big open spaces that have like a huge banner hanging over them.
Charlie from Oni took a lot of meetings today, but they were just either in the booth, outside the booth, right by the booth.
Yeah.
Just standing in the aisles talking.
The other weird thing was I'd gone, and this is maybe this is TMI, no one wants to hear this part of it. I had to use the washroom at one point in the men's room, and usually at a comic convention, the men's room, the line is for the urinals. it's so difficult, and people are using stalls because the urinals are all occupied. This was the opposite. There were, 5 or 6 urinals. One person was at the urinal. There was a line of like 7 people for the stalls. And this is midday, the first day of the show, like midday Thursday. This is maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I could not figure out why at a gaming convention versus a comics convention, why at a gaming convention everybody needs to poop. Why do they need to poop so early in the show? And my best theory is they're spending all this time sitting down. It's just activating something kind of in that part of their body that's making their body go, oh, you're sitting, I guess we're pooping now.
I think it's they sit down for so long that it settles. Then when you stand up, it's like, oh, we're moving again. Let's go down.
It's just I've literally never been at a show where it flipped the demand for urinals versus demand for stalls.
2 anecdotes about that. Number 1, I saw the exact same thing.
Yeah, weird.
And in line was a guy holding his own roll of toilet paper.
Which I think is super smart. But it also speaks to preparedness.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's like, I am definitely going to have to poop at the show.
I know this is going to happen.
On the first day, midday, I'm going to make sure I have toilet paper.
And another one was a younger gamer was in the bathroom, and he walked up the urinals because there was space. Mm-hmm. Then he looked, and then he goes to the stalls, and you can see they're all occupied. And he pulls on all the doors, and they're locked. Mm-hmm. And then he looks around, and he goes and stands at a urinal, but in the corner, and rotates his body like 45-degree angle, like, he wanted to make sure that nobody could see him.
Aww.
But he wasn't like 9 years old. He was easily a teenager.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, people. I don't want to speak to someone's own personal issues. There's nothing wrong with.
And while we're talking,
whatever he was grappling with.
Here are other things that I've experienced where we charge tax on everything we sell.
Yep.
There's tax for the city of Indiana, or the state of Indiana, the city of Indianapolis. And more people were using cash today than I expected by a lot.
Way more, yeah.
By a lot. And everybody's giving us 20s. Yeah. And this isn't a show where we planned ahead and did the cash box. It's not our show.
No.
We
just showed up.
We would have had a lot of different denominations and change available. So it's a little bit... And also the cash box is kind of on the floor, so there's a lot of bending over and whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
But oftentimes I'd say, like, all right, you're buying this $10 book, it's $10.70. Oh, what if I give you cash? You can give me cash, I'll take it. No, but what's the price then? No, it's $10.70.
If you give me cash, I will give you change, and some of that change will be 30 cents.
But people frequently expect that the tax is only on credit cards.
Oh, it's like a convenience fee for credit cards?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Or like they understood it as tax, or maybe like I don't know. So I had to explain that a lot. I'm like, no, it's the same. I'm like, look, we're an international company that does international shows. We pay our taxes everywhere we go. We have to charge a tax. And then a thing that I got a lot was for the pins. Uh-huh. It was, do you trade?
I got that twice.
No, we don't. We don't trade.
Yeah.
We sell. And Brad's like, I trade sometimes. That's how I got this pin. I'm like, yeah, but that pin's terrible.
And then I teased him about that pin relentlessly.
Yeah. For the record, these guys are great. I've been giving Charlie shit for the last 2 days that he doesn't deserve. And he takes it.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like about working this show is that, like when we were doing the ALA thing for the French Comics Association, we were book selling on their behalf.
Yeah.
So it was our job to stock everything, to sell everything. Whatever money was being made, we split with them, but we were collecting the money. We were determining how much money was being collected. So if people, wanted to wheel or deal, or if they wanted to, you could maybe offer a discount or not, or feel like you should or maybe shouldn't. With this, because I'm at least working for Oni.
Yeah. You say it like I'm not.
Well, I can only speak from my own experience in this. When someone says like, "Oh, can you do a deal?" The answer is no. It's not my stuff. It is absolutely not my responsibility to offer you a deal. I cannot approve that.
I get it. There have been times where it's like, oh, it's $10.05, you give me a $20. I would just give you the $10, but this is not my money.
Yeah.
You're getting $9.95 back.
Absolutely. I've absolutely done that. And someone had done the how much are the Scott Pilgrim Evil editions? I'm like, well, they're $40 each. And you have all 6? Yeah, we got all 6. Cool. Is there a deal if I get all 6? Nope, $240.
But if you want a deal, here's a softcover set for $60.
But like, it's not.
Yeah, it's not our deals.
If it were me, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe $200 if you get all 6. But it's not my deal to make. It's not my money to give away.
Yep. But it's busy. It's long. My feet hurt a lot. It's long, and it doesn't drag. You're active the whole time. But for the most part, it's selling comics to a more receptive crowd than a comics show.
Yeah.
And it's all comics that we know backwards and forwards.
Yeah, it's very easy for you and I to work the Oni booth because we're familiar with all of the stuff that's at that table.
And it's not even everything they do. It's a curated segment. And like we're down to 2, My Boyfriend's a Bear.
Yeah, it's not tough for us to pitch things like My Boyfriend is a Bear or Kaiju Max or T-Dragon Society or Scott Pilgrim, right? That stuff. It's great.
Yeah. So 3 more full days and then teardown. And early today I'm like, I can't believe there's 4 more days of this. And I'll say that tomorrow, too. But
probably. Well, you won't say 4 more days because there won't be 4 more days.
It'll feel like 4 days to me.
Probably. I can't believe there's 4 more days of this. There's not,
know,
Patrick.
Right?
Shut up.
But we're getting through it. We're surviving Gen Con, and now, while...
Is that the name of this episode, Surviving Gen Con?
While people are buying games, like Charlie bought a really fun-looking detective game, and I thought, this looks fun, I would enjoy this. I do not want a game.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The stuff I'm looking for, like the thing that makes it go very fast for me, the only things I'm looking for, again, aside from like that Transformers thing from Hasbro or Kenzerco, is if I can find any robot toys, Kamen Rider. Like that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Like, Kamen Rider's just the backup of like maybe they'll have this because I don't think they'll have robot toys. And yeah, I mean, I did 2/3 of the show floor today, and I spent $6 on an issue of Knights of the Dinner Table that I already have on the way.
That's okay. I said, oh, here's a fun game that both Brad and Charlie were telling about, and they think I would like it, and it's called this. And you're like, yeah, you can get that anywhere. You have to buy it here.
Yeah, that's like saying Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's fun. It might do well, but that's not something that you're going to have any trouble finding.
All right, so for this being a, in theory, night-by-night recap, this part went way longer than expected.
Yeah, I'm sorry
almost
about
an
that.
episode on its own.
I didn't get any of the
Previous
0
ones.
day stuff to chime in on, so you got all of my thoughts.
So I don't know if I don't think we'll be this long the next couple days.
I gotta imagine most of the next 2 days are going to be pretty much like
more
this
the same.
one. Yeah, I can't imagine we'll have a different read on Gen Con, but maybe.
I will say that I'm eating way too much of this show, and not even snacking.
Oh my god, Patrick! What was the calorie count for the dessert that you ate?
I don't know what you're talking
3/4
about.
of.
So there's breakfast before.
1,700
there's
calories.
All these food trucks that were outside that we got lunch from today, and I'm like, I don't know. I want something that's not going to be messy or easy. Get me a pizza, a small pizza, which just tastes like a microwave pizza.
Yeah.
And I literally gave the majority of it to the guys over at Table Titans.
Sure.
I'm like, I can't eat this whole thing. And then we went to dinner, the place we wanted to go to, too long of a wait. So we went to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which was really good.
Really good. But
really good.
Like a lot of good steakhouses, real easy to eat too much food.
Oh, yeah.
Portions are big.
And as Dal pointed out,
tastes great.
I had a piece of carrot cake afterwards, and the caloric content of that carrot cake was 1,700 calories.
What you would normally eat in a day.
Which is what I've been trying to limit myself to in a day, so I can't eat anything for the next day.
You had a day's food for dessert.
No, like you mentioned I left some of it. I ate 300 calories. I left 1,400 calories in that plate.
Oh, that was the portion you left was the 1,400?
Yeah, because it was mainly icing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I planned it.
Sure.
1,700 calories for a piece of
that is a
cake.
high number.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
And Brad doesn't help because he's just goading us into it. He's like, we're doing dessert, let's go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they would have asked, like, if I'm getting dessert, my answer would have been, I don't think so, man.
No, but it was more of an eat it. But we're getting dessert.
Well, since Brad immediately grabbed for the dessert menu, it's like, all right, I guess I'm doing this. Like, I'm not just going to sit here doing nothing for dessert.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't know if I want to do a full breakfast tomorrow. That's come back to... I don't eat full breakfasts at all.
Me neither.
And then to do it, and then to go on the show floor...
I usually like something a little bit more handheld, a little bit faster.
Yeah, like give me a granola bar.
A wake-up wrap.
Yeah.
A breakfast bar, something.
When the tortillas aren't frozen.
Yeah, the sit down, eat a bunch of eggs and biscuits and bacon, like, I don't like working after that.
Exactly. So I don't know what the next couple of days will bring.
Maybe.
But also, I know, like, Brad's philosophy is... eat a big meal now because you have no idea when you're going to eat later. And for yesterday,
There's
that was the
something to be
case.
said for that.
But
Because, I mean,
then-
like, there was a time today when food showed up, and it's like, okay, well, we can't all be eating, so
right,
you're
and
going to
I put
have
mine
to go on
aside
stages.
for a while because I'm like, it's way too early for me to eat.
Yeah, I ate kind of in the middle. And, yeah, it was mostly because, all right, well, there's a bunch of people here, and I can't just leave.
And I also think that lunch the next couple of days is going to be the same. Food truck it.
Oh, I'll definitely order something lighter.
Yeah.
It was way... I mean, I ordered a fried chicken sandwich that looked fine in the photo, and then when it showed up, it was like a regular-sized round bun like you'd have for a hamburger that you buy at the grocery store. But the fried chicken was like a giant plank. It was like a pizza slice.
And if you just ran a steamroller over a chicken, it was that size.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did not even finish half of it, I don't think, because half of it was the bun, and the other half was no bun. All right. I think we've talked enough about the first full day of actual Gen Con.
Day 2 is about to begin on Friday, right? We're at Friday. And I'm with Cory Casoni from Table Titans. Longtime listeners know Cory was on about a year ago talking about games. So here we are in the flesh.
Games.
Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. So what's your setup here? What are we doing?
Games.
That's good. What is this? What is this? A little fancy dice box with cutouts for all the different dice.
I mean, obviously we make Table Titans, which is a comic about people who play Dungeons & Dragons.
It's unheard of.
Yeah.
No one does that anymore.
Well, yeah, we were first. That's what I like to remind people.
Excellent.
No, we, the comic is free to read online, so we support it by putting out products that support our hobby that we like. So if we thought there was not a good way to present or roll your dice, then we'll invent a good way to present and roll your dice. We partner with really good companies, Elderwood Academy, Norse Foundry, who make products that we use, that we like, and then we bring them to shows like this and set them out and tell people look, this is Table Titans tested and approved.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at these wooden dice boxes are so fancy.
Yeah, super fancy.
This is for a deck of cards. What are the bigger? Oh, here's for a pen.
Yeah,
or
you put your minis in, and then when you get to where you're going, you pull them out, and then you can roll all your dice inside.
Nice. All right. So what are these little person type
meeples?
magnets?
Metal meeples.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
From board games.
Yeah.
Put it in, buy a little metal version.
I'm learning the terminology as we go.
You'll get there.
Yeah. So along with Table Titans and the newly released Brynwyn's Minions, which challengers will have.
Yes.
By the time this goes up.
Absolutely. Brynwyn's.
You have the Adventure Journal.
The Adventure Journal. Yeah. We didn't like the way that people were keeping their character sheets, so we devised a new way to keep character sheets.
This is for fans by fans.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, the comic is our bread and butter, right? And people come to the booth to get the comic, and then they're sort of just like you, what is all this other stuff?
Yeah.
And we say, well, we don't just make a comic about D&D. We actually play a lot of role-playing games. Not just D&D, we play everything. And, and here's things. Here's a dice bag that is designed the way we think a dice bag should be designed. Here's your character sheet laid out the way we think it should be laid out, or the way that's easiest for us, right? And then we listen to our fans. They give us feedback. This is V2 of the Adventure Journal. The second printing, we changed some stuff because we had so many people saying, this works, and this is great, and I want more of this, or this was useless, and why did you even put this in there?
I just appreciate that it's all red and white Challengers colors. That's you got my notes, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, got to make sure.
Yeah. All right.
Challengers is supported.
Right. All right, so the show floor is about to open. Where can people find you online?
Online, TableTitans.com.
Yeah.
You can read 4 years worth of comics by Scott Kurtz, Brian Hurt, Bill Crabtree, Steve Hamaker, Marie Anger, Chris Schweitzer. I mean, it's a lot of
Virtually
content.
Everybody's been to Challengers except Scott Kurtz from that list.
Yeah. Son of a...
Yeah.
Well,
and Bill Crabtree. Bill was supposed to make a thing but couldn't. But
we should get them both out. That would be fun.
That'd be perfect.
At the same time.
And of course, I talk about this all the time, especially on my podcast, but your podcast is my favorite podcast.
Surviving Creativity?
Yeah.
Good.
Can't wait for it to come back, man. You fooled me by doing a good couple of months in a row.
We did
every
4
week.
months straight, and then I got busy again. So now I have 2 episodes recorded. One with Jim Demonakos that I'm really excited to get up, and one with just the 3 of us kind of shooting the shit. But it's a time thing. We're coming into the con crunch.
I know it.
I need 8 solid hours to sit down and edit and make it sound real good.
Here's my favorite comment about your podcast from Dal, because I'll listen to it on Tuesdays when I'm sorting the books in Sidekicks, and he's in the other store. And whenever Brad laughs, Dal just goes, "Who is that laughing?"
You got to get that. We have a ringtone of Geiger when he was on Webcomics Weekly and he got stuck in a loop. We made a ringtone out of it. So if you're a patron, you can actually go download it.
I am a patron. I should go download it.
Yeah, look on the left side. There's Brad's laugh.
I never look at I'll listen to episode the Patreon exclusive episodes.
Sure.
But I don't ever do anything else. I don't. So Patreon for me is just give you money because I love your podcast.
Yeah.
That's
I'm with you. I mean, that's what I do with most people too.
I'm not doing it for the extras and stuff.
Well,
but if it's a thing that if it's an episode I cannot hear elsewhere.
Right. If you do the RSS feed through Patreon, you'll get the special ones too. So you don't actually have to go to Patreon.
I've never set up an RSS feed. I use just the Apple iTunes podcast app.
iTunes podcast app. Yeah, sure.
I'm so low technology.
That's fine.
We're doing this on my phone, so I don't have microphones to plug. No, nothing. But I mean, so many people have sophisticated setups, and I use RecUp, which used to be called Dropbox, because it saves directly to my Dropbox.
Oh yeah,
that's as fancy as I get.
It's fine. I think that's pretty fancy.
Corey, we have 3 days of the show left. Have a great show. Always a pleasure.
I love you, Pat. It's good to see you.
I love seeing you in real life. This is so rare.
It's very nice.
And it's always at conventions.
Yeah. Like everyone else in my life. I sit alone at a desk until I get to a convention.
Including your wife.
Yeah. She's the only person I don't see at conventions.
By her choice.
Right, exactly. Yeah. She's like, get the fuck out. I need a break.
Corey, isn't it time for you to be at another show right now?
Exactly.
Honey, I just got back. Isn't it PAX weekend?
Come on, get out of here.
Is it unplugged right now?
Yeah,
you really should be somewhere else.
You know what? Go to Philly and set up now. It's it's 4 months away. Just go to Philly and set up. You'll be fine.
You're the best, brother.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so this next part was supposed to be an interview with Gabo, comic artist on Oni's The Life Inside and Dead of Winter, and a multiple-time attendee of Challenger's 24-hour comic day, and he's signed in the store before. He was out at Gen Con as well at our booth, specifically for the Dead of Winter book, featuring Sparky, who's a good boy. And we actually got so busy at that time that I keep having to break off to help people. So I'm leaving this next section, this next 4.5-minute section, in its entirety, so you get a lot of background noise from the show floor and hearing me interact with customers. But I thought it was fun. But it wasn't a good full interview with Gabo, so we'll have to have him on some other time. And there's also no definitive end. It just stops. I love the idea of wearing headphones that aren't connected to anything, so people just think you can't. That guy can't hear us. But people can hear us, Gabo, because we're recording now. Because we are day 2 of Gen Con, and you've done this show before.
One time last year.
Yeah, for 50. Wow, you went big.
Yeah, it was fun.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is the first one because it's 51.
Yeah,
so that's my first one. That's why I'm here.
Do you guys have those dope ass pins?
Which pins?
The dog.
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, I got your back there. You were like one of 3 pins that I absolutely wanted.
What else do you need?
I got to go to Steve Jackson Games.
Okay.
And then I want to go to the D20 Beholder.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
One of mine is one of the secret pins, so I don't know how I'm going to find that.
Okay.
Because there's an orc head, the rare pen, which is one of the rare ones.
Okay. 1070 for this. You hold on to that. I'll hold on to this.
And then what was I looking for? Basketball playing dinosaur.
Yes, that is a
pin. I'm just looking for that in life. Not even a pin.
Exactly.
I just want to know. I want that as part of what I do.
I need that for my world. Wait, what?
Rick and Morty comic book?
No, Rick and Morty D&D.
Versus D&D, yeah. Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons. You want to scribble right there for me? It's all yours. Thank you so much.
Not even close to my name.
As far as I know, that's how you sign it every single time.
Have you looked at any of what's going on down here? Like, my boyfriend is a ghost?
Based on a true story. That's a lie.
Fantastic.
So that was actually like being on the floor.
The tone of what you carry, but one of my favorite books ever was Why the Last Man.
Sure, Why the Last Man is great.
Yeah. You don't have it, do you?
No, but we have Dead of Winter, which is based off of the game, which is also like Why the Last Man, post-apocalyptic world, and it's drawn by this gentleman right here.
Yeah? Very cool. That's awesome.
Good dog.
Of course, it's Sparky. Sparky's a good dog.
He's the goodest boy. Well, the second good.
How's it going?
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you bet. Enjoy your show. I think this is just going to be like a slice up. I'm just going to keep getting back to you when we have a second. So what was your experience like last year as your first time?
It was like San Diego minus movie stars. Like people are here for one thing, and it's the board games. And it's almost like a really like if anybody's ever been to Heroes Con, like it's all comics people. Like this is all board games. And then when I first showed up, I was like, what? Like I didn't know that board games was like this big of a thing.
Sure.
Like I don't even play board games, but yeah, no, and there's more than board games.
Mostly board games.
Yeah, it's mostly board games, but man, it's like everyone's so passionate about it too. It's really
everybody's
great.
so nice.
Yeah,
you don't get that at comic shows.
Yeah, that's true.
Had you played Dead of Winter when you got the gig, or was it just a job?
Oh yeah, no, like I hadn't played it. I hadn't even heard. Like I said, I hadn't even heard about it. None of that. And then.
So you came out last year because Oni said, "Hey, come do this gaming show."
Yeah. Well, they sent me a copy.
Sure.
And played it a few times. So.
But I mean, working with you yesterday, you're good with people. You're good at doing the selling because the booth is so busy. We need people selling at every corner.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Not too bad. We still have the author of the Rick and Morty.
He is not here this second. He's here all weekend, but he's not at the booth right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll be back at 11. He said.
Like noon.
Like noon.
One? Okay.
Like noon. Okay.
Yeah, we had two people from you guys come over.
I know. That's what they told me. And I said, I've got volume 1 with me.
Oh, okay.
We're going to get volume 2.
He didn't write volume 1 or volume 2.
No. Oh, well, Kyle did.
Kyle did.
Yeah.
No, Kyle did.
No, Kyle did.
Kyle didn't start until volume 3.
No? Well, oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm the only one in volume 1.
Yeah, he's in volume 1.
And then Kyle's in volume 2.
Of the fancy hardcovers, yeah.
Well, then fine. I can have you sign volume.
Yeah, you can. So the show is happening right now. We are on the sales floor in the middle of the day. And as an added bonus to anybody here at the Oni booth right now, which obviously is like a week later for people listening, is Kory Bing from Skin Deep. Hi, Kory.
Hello.
Kory has also done the exclusive Gen Con cover for Rick and Morty versus Dungeons & Dragons that we have at the table now. So that's why she's here signing. But you do other stuff. What is Skin Deep?
Skin Deep is a start off a webcomic, and I have print versions of it. It's about mythical creatures living hidden from the rest of humanity. It's been running for about 11 years, so it's all free online to read. So if you'd like to archive binge a webcomic, I got a good comic for you. It's called Skin Deep.
Nice. 2011. That's a track record, I'm telling you. That's good. And you said you're about to kickstart your 4th volume.
Yes. August 15th is my 4th volume. Skin Deep Illuminations is coming out.
Excellent. And so a Gen Con versus like a Rose City or something else. What's your preference?
They're different.
Yeah.
I've been doing the pop culture cons more, so I'm a little bit more kind of jaded from those because coming to a place like Gen Con is a lot different vibe and feeling than a Comic Con has. So it's interesting. It's nice to see the difference. And
my biggest takeaways from it. This is my first Gen Con.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
This is my 3rd.
Your 3rd. Okay.
Yes.
The people that are here for the show are so much nicer than comics.
Yeah,
fans.
there's a lot.
I hate saying that because I love comics so much.
No, it's different. It's a different crowd, and I don't know if it's better or just because it's new for me. I haven't been doing it for 10 years, and I'm tired of the shenanigans. But so everyone here is all nice and fresh. But yeah, it's very nice. People are very, very interested in whatever it is that you're doing.
That's it. They're interested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And comic fans are just interested in what they're doing.
Yeah. And I don't bring my comics to the show because my comics don't really sell very well at the show, but I do a card game based on Alice in Wonderland that I sell.
Nice.
Called Bargove. And it's actually a tie-in to the comic, but I sell that. And so that's my main thing I sell, in enamel pins and dinosaur art. I do a lot of paleo art, and that does really well. And people get real excited about dinosaur art.
Why wouldn't they?
I know.
You are living your dinosaur art as well. We're referencing your tattoos.
Yes.
All right, so where can people find you online?
People can find me online at KoryBing.com is my main site, and SkinDeepComic.com is for my webcomic.
All right, and that's Kory with a K.
Kory with a K. KoryBing.com.
Fantastic. Have a great show. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're almost a week removed. 1 week ago, this very second, we were settling in to Brad and Charlie's hotel lobby to actually play games that were bought at Gen Con.
That can't be right.
No, that's exactly true.
No, I don't remember any of that.
You say that, but 30 seconds before I pushed record, we were talking about, what were we doing? What day was Friday? How was that?
You have no proof of that.
I don't.
Only your word.
I don't know how to prove
clearly,
anything.
you're not trustworthy, as I've just established.
So We did actually buy games. We did actually play games.
We did. It's true. Yeah, without even really meaning to. It's funny because people will usually ask us either at the show or directly afterwards, "Hey, how was the show for you?" And they don't mean it usually in the sense of like, was it successful monetarily? Did you meet the right people to further your business efforts? They mean it in the same way that we ask people that we see at the show who are there as fans, which is, did you have a good time? Did you enjoy the things that the convention had to offer? And the answer for us is always some kind of variation of like, it was business. It was work.
Yeah.
We're not there to do those things. That's not why we're there. We're there for money, basically. And clearly we both went to Gen Con really with a sense of like, we are going to sell books, we're going to do stuff with Oni, and that's kind of it. Like, we weren't there to buy games, to play games.
We didn't have higher expectations. We didn't plan to have loftier business meetings. We did those things. We actually set up some things we'll be doing in the future with people who were at the show, and we made some new business contacts, and one is already rolling into another convention we're going to be doing in November.
Yeah.
I sent in our application today.
Okay, cool.
One of the things is your booth is required to have carpet or padding.
Oh, so you have to pay for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, we could bring foam squares or something.
Or we can just pay for carpeting.
Right. But I mean, we don't know how big of a space we're going to get. She had said, "How much space do you want?" And I said, "How much space can we have?"
Yeah.
Like, are we getting a booth, or are we just getting a little spot?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we don't know. Anyway, you'll hear more about that in the future. But that is from somebody who I had never met before, but was introduced to in a, hey, you guys should totally work together capacity. And it turns out we're totally going to work together.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we recorded for Gen Con. I think it was the Thursday night, maybe?
Yeah, we didn't do...
Friday or Saturday?
Friday or Saturday. Yeah, like, you had... So we were gaming Friday night, and after 2 rounds of Deep Sea Adventure, you went off on your own adventure.
I did, yeah, just to walk around the show and really see what it's like. So, but this is what I was getting at. What was interesting to me most about Gen Con is how different it is from a comics convention in how it basically prioritizes parts of the day. At a comic convention, literally any comic convention I've ever been to, the draw is the sales floor, the show floor, if you will. All the collection of vendors and artists and retailers and manufacturers and all that stuff, that main area. The part of the day where that's open is the show for a lot of people, for most people. And there might be after-hour stuff, a panel here or there, like a premiere of a fan film or something. But largely when the show floor closes, people go their separate ways, and, they go out to dinner, or they go to the bar, or they meet up with friends, or they just go read the stuff they bought for the day. Like, it's not... The after-hour stuff is very DIY. Gen Con, and I guess game conventions in general, I would assume, are completely different, where the sales floor portion of the day, for us, 9 to 6, I think was 10 to 6?
9 to 6 on Thursday, like 10 to 6 the others.
Yeah, 10 to 6. So those 8 hours, the 10 to 6 that the sales floor is open, is like the first half of the event. That's the foraging part, where people go to the sales floor and they demo games and they buy games and they kind of collect all this stuff, and then when the sales floor closes at 6, the second half of the convention starts, which is everyone gets together with their group of friends who they've gone to Gen Con with, or with people they've met during the day, or they just go to the open gaming section and then they play all the games they bought during the day. So the sales floor is like maybe 50% of the show. It's everything else. Like, the after-hour stuff is as equal a component as the thing you've paid money to go to. And I thought that was really interesting. And even for us as people who weren't going and shopping and doing all of the fan stuff of the sales floor, still had that element where the day would end and we'd have dinner, and then it's like, okay, we're with these people who bought games, I guess we'll play these games now.
They are all avid gamers, and that was part of their plan.
Yeah.
Brad only got into gaming last year at Gen Con, and he kept telling me, like, oh, you're going to get into it, you're going to get hooked. And I didn't get hooked, but I had fun.
Spoiler, I didn't either.
Right? But it was amazing to me how not only was it all these different rooms on the convention, in the convention building, not the sales floor, but elsewhere, that we'd get there in the morning, those rooms are packed, people are playing, maybe all night, who knows.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I can tell you all night.
even in the hotel, remember, because we had to stop by the FedEx a couple different mornings in a row to get more stuff and get things shipped in.
Yeah.
And then...
There were ballrooms at the hotel. That were
right.
packed,
So Kyle and I went to look at the Starbucks line, and he's like, oh, it's pretty short. I go, no, I bet it goes around this corner. So we go around the corner. It went forever. But we're walking down this corridor, and we find more rooms full of gamers just in the hotels. Which,
yeah, all of the like...
and this is at like,
RPGA,
I don't know, 8 in the morning? 9 in the morning?
Yeah, a lot of those places are gaming literally all night. The couple nights that I split off from you guys, I would walk around the convention center just to get some exercise. Then I've been standing all day, been eating a lot of terrible food, go for a walk, wind down the day a bit, have my headphones in so I can just sort of zone out. But there is at Gen Con, it's almost the entire convention center. I would honestly assume it's the entire convention center because every nook and cranny seem to have something Gen Con related in it. But there's the sales floor, which is gigantic. It's like San Diego gigantic. But then there's almost an equal-sized room that connects to the sales floor where all of like the open gaming is. Like the Magic tournaments and stuff, that's where they are. Like, you can do learn to plays and stuff in different parts of the hotel and different parts of the convention center. But the big, 800 people are playing Magic.
Was that the Goodman
there.
Games sponsored room?
I don't know who is sponsoring.
Goodman Games is the Triceratops looking right at you logo.
I don't know who
because
is
there were
sponsoring
logos on the doors.
Maybe. I mean, I wasn't honestly paying attention. But that's where, like, Pastimes was set up, and they were selling just cards and stuff. Somebody else, not Troll and
When
Toad,
you say
maybe?
Pastimes...
Pastimes, like from Niles Pastimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that my question earlier to Brad was, do stores set up on the sales floor?
They do.
And he wasn't sure.
There are a few. There was...
It's funny that Pastimes was there, and Eric Garno was there, but he was there for Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah.
And he used to run Pastimes comic section.
I would assume... I assumed going into this that there'd be more vendors, kind of like challengers, essentially, where they would have older... role-playing games or whatever, and there'd be a section of that. And there was really only a couple places that were selling, like, older, out-of-print games that was more like a book vendor than, a retailer or than a publisher. But there were third-party sellers, but they were almost all card game people.
Okay.
So, like, Troll and Toad was there, but it was Magic cards. Tons of Magic boosters, tons of Magic single cards. That was what they were selling. So they would honestly look just like a Magic person, but they were a store. But all they brought was Magic cards.
So the games we played...
We did, yeah, we played some games.
We played so the guys we were with, Brad, Charlie, and Kyle, really like Oink as a game producer. Because they produce little card box sets, little teeny boxes of games.
Right. And they're not necessarily card games. They could be any type of
right.
game.
But like we used to carry Unlock from them.
Okay.
But we can't get any more.
Okay.
Which is like a lock room mystery, like the Exit games we have.
Okay.
Similar to that, but even smaller. But these are like almost the size of a deck of cards boxes for like a lot of their games. So the first game we played was called Deep Sea Adventure, and each player we're all in a submarine together. The submarine is slowly sinking. We are running out of air, but we need to get treasure that we found on the ocean floor back into the submarine before it sinks and before we die.
Yeah, 4 players. For us,
2 to 6.
2 to 6, but for us it was 4 players, and you're all sharing the same oxygen supply, and the more treasure you pick up, the faster the air runs out. So basically, you can work cooperatively, where you're saving picking up treasure until later in the game, or you're being more judicious about how the limited supply exists, or you can just be an asshole and immediately start picking up a ton of treasure, making the air run out super fast, trapping everyone at the bottom of the ocean, and killing them.
So whatever, you have to get back to the boat with your treasure to have the treasure count.
No.
And I'm just going to preface this by saying every game I played over the weekend, I came in dead last. No matter what it was, I was dead last, whatever we played in. But, it's not all about winning.
I don't think so. I don't think it is.
Kyle was really good. Kyle won, and so did Brad.
Kyle won most of the things that we were playing any night.
I think Deep Sea Adventure was fun.
Yeah.
And it's very cutthroat. And you make a move, and everyone else in the submarine is like, oh man.
Yeah, the first person to pick up the treasure is like, God damn it. Because that's when the clock starts ticking.
Yeah.
It doesn't start ticking until you pick up treasure.
And then, so we played 2 hands of that.
We
two
did,
rounds of
yeah.
that.
And then I split.
You split, and then the next game we played was from the same company. I don't remember what it was called, and it was a number game. Like you have 10 spots on the table, 1 through 10, and then you're dealt cards in your hand, and your cards have in the upper right hand corner they have a value, and on the going down the left side they have different numbers, 1 through 10, and you can play the cards on the numbers on the table, but you can only play 4 of the 10 numbers. So if you have 4 people playing, each person like puts a card down and picks one of the 4 numbers. So if the numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are the ones you're using, and you have a card that just has 7s, you can't use it at all. But cards have multiple numbers. It could have 1 number, 2 number, 5 numbers.
Okay.
And the value of the cards has to keep getting higher. So if someone plays a 4, you can't play a 2 or a 3. You have to play something higher. And those values go to 100. That was a fun game where you go from, like, I have 1 card left, I'm going to win, to losing horribly.
Okay.
Because it's all what you have left in your hand, all that kind of stuff. We did 2 rounds of that. That game was more fun to me because it was more of an even field.
Okay.
Like, there's the Deep Sea Adventure definitely needs strategy.
Sure.
That I didn't understand yet. But, of course, I came in dead last with the other game as well. And that was the first day of gaming. The second day, you had a purchase.
I did, yeah. One of the things I'd wanted to pick up at the convention was the San Diego Comic-Con and Gen Con exclusive pack of Transformers card game cards from Wizards of the Coast. It was a pack of 4 exclusive cards that they were releasing at those 2 shows, San Diego and Gen Con. And then, basically, like, the first day I couldn't figure out where they were selling them at. Like, I thought, oh, it's the Wizards of the Coast Hasbro section, but they didn't have any signage for Transformers there, since the game doesn't come out until later in the fall. I think Friday, maybe? Someone at the booth had a starter set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did you get that? And she's like, oh, there's this booth over in the other section, and that's where you get the pack of cards, and they also have the starter set.
This is where I want to take credit, because there was a woman who had a bag. I'm like, hey, is that a Transformers thing? Mm-hmm. She's like, yeah, it's a card game. I'm like, you need to talk to him about this right now.
Yeah. And so she did, and then I had questions, and she was able to tell me where she got it at. And so, yeah, I went over, and it was Pastimes, of all people, who were the exclusive vendors, I guess, at Gen Con for the San Diego Gen Con preview pack, which they had a limited amount each day. So basically, once the show floor opened at 10 a.m., they would sell it until they ran out of that allocation. So by the time I'd found out about it Friday, like, they were already done for Thursday and Friday. But they were also selling the 2-player starter set, and that was just all day, so I'm just like, I'll take one, thanks. And, yeah, I eventually did get the pack of preview cards on the final day, on Sunday. I decided, you know what, you guys are going to be fine at the booth when we open. We didn't really have anything huge that needed doing. I'm going to park myself in this line at 9:45 and then see how this goes.
I'm the only person who stayed at the booth the whole time, except when I had to run and pee, not poop. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear about that.
Yep.
And the one time Kyle took me to a different booth, but I was gone for less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, Thursday night and Friday or Saturday, I walked around. I wanted to basically see the show floor, to see what was there, to see what it was like. And I did the first 2/3 one night, and then the last third later.
I think it was Thursday and then Saturday.
That sounds right.
You didn't get a chance to on Friday.
That sounds right.
But anyway.
But yeah, I got the Transformers card game, and Saturday night, it was tough because I didn't think I'd get a chance to play it with anybody because it's a 2-player game, and basically if you have a group of 4 people, it's kind of rude to say, like, all right, you and this other person are going to play this game. Like, What do the other 2 people do? But, yeah, Brad and Kyle sort of insisted, I guess. So it's like, okay. And it's a very standard Wizards of the Coast collectible card game. It very much feels like it is for the kids who are slightly too old for Pokemon, but still want to do something kind of young.
Okay.
That isn't as complex as Magic. It's more straightforward combat oriented. That's really the crux of the system. I enjoyed what I played though, and I'll definitely plan on picking up more cards. I don't know how often I'll get a chance to play it in Chicago, but I don't know, maybe.
And you got a sweet hookup.
I did, yeah. Brad, when I talked to Brad, mentioned that I was excited about this card game because I was a Transformers dork.
Which he has his own Transformers dorkdom in a different capacity than yours.
He had mentioned that to friends of his at Wizards of the Coast, and they had someone had stopped by later in the show with basically a set of the common character cards that they were playing with at the show. So I got a set of those. So I have those early, and I got to look over the character cards and see how they do and all that stuff. It was very nice of them.
And what else did you play on Saturday?
We played 2 games that the guys had bought that day. Kyle had bought Escape from... What was the name, Patrick?
I love it. It's Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space.
Yeah, it's a silent movement game, so basically the players are all charting their movement on their own game boards. There are different cards that tell you when you are not making any noise, so other players can't find you, or when you have to say that noise is happening in different places, and players have to figure out whether that means you're someplace or something else is happening. And also, in our game, it was 4 players. 2 players are aliens. And
is it always half?
I don't know. I think it's you're drawing from a set of cards. So
okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
So you mean two of you were, not 2 had to be?
Yeah, I honestly don't know if it was had to be or were. So I'm just going to say, in this game, 2 of the players were aliens.
But you don't know that.
The goal of the game is you're on a space station that is going to blow up. So you've got to get off the space station. Then there are 4 escape pods. So you have to get to one of those escape pods to get off the space station. The aliens have a different goal, and that goal is to kill the humans. But the aliens don't know who's a human and who's an alien, and the humans don't know who's a human and who's an alien. So everyone's moving silently, trying to get to where they're trying to get to. But if the alien thinks they know where another player's at, they can say they're attacking that grid, which then tells everyone else at the table that that person's an alien.
When you attack that grid, if there's a human there, do you immediately kill them?
If you attack a grid where a human is, you immediately kill the human, and the human respawns at the alien starting point, and now they're an alien.
Okay.
And they're also hunting. However, if an alien attacks a grid square and they've killed an alien, that player's just dead.
Oh, wow.
So aliens can't accidentally kill aliens. They're not working together.
Gotcha.
It's an interesting game, and it definitely has a lot of strategy to it as far as reading the other players and trying to figure out, where they're saying noises are happening. Does that mean that's where they are? And are they going for an escape pod, or are they going for another player? However, the trick for the game was that it comes with these dry erase markers, so you can mark on your different game board that you individually have where things are and where things are happening in your movement. And you can erase it later so you can replay the game. So you're not writing on the goddamn board, then you can't use it later. The problem is the markers that we were given were terrible. And it made strategizing and marking movement incredibly difficult, to the point where 2 of us were just putting it on our phones. We were just typing into notes where things were happening, because we could not write stuff
down. It doesn't help because it's not the grid of the ship, and
right.
You're not marking off sections.
Right. And you're constantly having to look back and forth. So unfortunately, that one we did not get all the way through one game, because at least one player was furious, just was not having it. So we just had to call it and move on to a different game, which was a game called Space Park. That was an interesting game that was about basically moving around a set of cards and cashing in different currencies that you get, and trying to be the one to fill all of your different... You would draw these cards that would be things you would have to do, or things you'd have to cash in, and they would reward you certain points, and the person with the correct amount of points at the end of the game would win. So it's a very fun little, very classic-y board game sort of style thing.
I don't remember you talking about that one before.
I'm sure I mentioned it. But that was fun.
While that was happening...
Kyle won that one, too.
Kyle wins everything.
Uh-huh.
Didn't you say you were one step away from killing him in the Alien game, though?
I was one step away from killing Charlie.
Oh, Charlie. Okay.
Because
I mean, let's be fair. We were both one step away from killing Charlie all weekend.
Kyle was the...
Just kidding, buddy.
Kyle and Brad were the aliens in the space game, and me and Charlie were the humans, as we would find out later. Although basically Kyle and Brad kind of screwed up in the beginning, and it was clear they were both aliens. So Kyle almost immediately killed me. Turn 5, maybe.
Okay.
So I was an alien, and then I was just gunning it, because I was pretty sure I knew where... Charlie was in one of 2 places, and once I figured out he wasn't in one, I knew he was in the other, but that was... Brad couldn't take it anymore, so we had to call the game.
Gotcha.
And then we found out where each other were, and it was like, God damn it, I knew where you were. I was going to find you.
Meanwhile, I had splintered off from the group and met up with my dear, dear friend Anna Van Slee, who works for Sideshow.
Mm-hmm.
And Sideshow was at Gen Con promoting things for USAopoly.
Okay.
I don't know what specifically. but their whole group came over to my hotel, and the main dude who was there from USAopoly had a game. I don't know if it's their game or just a game he picked up. It's a card game called I Betcha. And each player gets a card, and on the card are 3 different tasks with different point values. And it's things that you have to do in public while you're in a social setting. For example, on my card, it was ask 3 people what their zodiac sign is, sneeze loudly in public, beat on your chest while imitating a gorilla.
Tough.
Things like that. You have to do a thing, wait 30 seconds, and if nobody calls you on it, you put your card down and say, I did this, you didn't call me on it, you get the points. If somebody calls you on it correctly, if they say, hey, you just pounded on your chest like a gorilla, they get the points. If they call you out and they're wrong, you get their card.
Okay.
But it was things like wink at someone 3 times, or
dicey.
Hum the theme to Rocky.
Don't know about that one.
Or get someone to dance, things like that. So I was
Kyle
slowly,
won that one too, which is weird because he wasn't even there.
So weird. Because Anna is my friend, I let her, like, she's humming the Rocky theme. I'm like, oh, come on. You just did this out of nowhere. Of course this is your thing. But I'm not going to call you on it.
Wow. You softy.
I know.
Where's the eye of the tiger, Patrick?
But I was building up my... Oh, wait, it wasn't sneeze. It was blow your nose loudly in public.
Okay.
So I was building that up slowly. Like, I started to sniffle a little bit. And then I was going to fake sneeze into my bar napkin, because of course I was drinking. And then I was going to blow my nose after that. But right before I was going to do it, Anna needed my napkin.
Oof.
So I'm like, oh, I have to... And then I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I just didn't do it. But that was also like partially an unexpected business meeting as well.
Yeah.
There were a lot of different wrestling-themed games at the show.
A lot.
And the boys had picked them up last year. And even that Oink Company had a little one about masks that had little mask game pieces and seemed fun. But Kyle was very excited to take me to a booth on Sunday, which was like 1 row over from where we were, so it wasn't gone long. But I picked up a game right here. I'm holding it in my hand. That's what it sounds like. It's called Luchador, with an exclamation mark. It is a Mexican wrestling dice game. It's by Black Spindle Studios, but I bought it from Ninja Division. And it is basically you have wrestling character cards. You get a character, and you're wrestling somebody else in an actual ring. There's an actual ring you set up in the box, and it's dice roll, and you've got like punches and chops and pinning combinations and things.
Cool.
And at certain points, you can flip the ring over and it becomes a steel cage.
Neat.
So I looked at there was a guy like this booth was well done with little round tables and people to demo at any point. So that table was free, so we went over to there, and I'm like, tell me about this. So he talks me through it, and then Kyle would jump in with stuff, and the guy's like, oh, you know some of the deeper rules. But then I bought it and haven't even cracked it yet.
That seems in character.
But I imagine at some point you'll have to play this, because I'll have played Transformers.
Oh, maybe. I don't know about that. I don't think I'd ask you to do that.
Or is that your way of saying you don't want to play Luchador?
I mean, I'd play Luchador.
Well, there you go. I play Transformers.
Okay.
I mean, not now.
No.
But... yeah. So other things that we haven't talked about, we had a very long dinner with Jim Zub,
Yep.
writer of Champions, and he let us in on some secrets of stuff he's going to be doing in the future.
Yeah.
We got to... I posted a bunch of photos on Instagram and the Challengers Facebook page of the fun people that we either knew and got to see or just met for the first time. I didn't take a picture of Cory Casoni, and I didn't take a picture with Charlie. But there's Gabo and Kyle Starks and Brad, Matt Kent and Brian Hurt, who were there as fans.
Yeah.
Getting games, just stocking up on games. Super excited to be there, loving their time there. Kory Bing, who signed at the booth, and you already heard her in this podcast. My buddy Tim Wadzinski, who works for Goodman Games, and I just ordered a book, a D&D-esque book that they did. He did, basically... They have the rights to old D&D modules.
Okay.
and they get to revise them for 5th edition.
Oh, neat.
So he did the original D&D module or set Into the Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
He adapted that for 5th edition, so
Cool.
we're going to get that from Southern Hobby next week. So Tim was there demoing for Goodman Games, and he came by and he took some pictures. I took a picture with him, and we took pictures. He took pictures of us at the booth.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into a bunch of customers, and Alexis, former Challenger Alexis, she was there with a friend of hers, and yeah, they were in some unexpected other friends of ours as well, like Cranston.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but I was, because this is not a thing I normally go to.
Sure.
And then we had, the show was over, we tore down, and then we limped back to the car, because it's a very long, very strenuous week. I was not a fan of all the standing. It's a lot of standing.
It was, yeah. It was pretty much nonstop standing.
Didn't seem to bother you, though.
No, not really. I'm sure it will someday.
I was going to say, one day.
Yeah.
One day. Plus, you just wear flats all the time.
Yeah.
You have no support.
One of the things I've learned is that at shows, because there's been plenty of shows in the past where, like, I just can't stand anymore and I gotta sit down. Once you do that, it's like you've cracked a seal. Standing becomes almost impossible after that. So if I can put off sitting down at the show, then I can stand longer.
I don't know. When I would sit down for a little bit, when I'd stand up, I was rejuvenated. I'm like, oh, I can stand again.
Yeah, I'd never feel that way. I'd just be like, I should just sit back down again. Then, like, day 5 is just me sitting down for 7 hours.
Working with the Oni guys was fun. They fed us really well.
They did.
I ate way more, and I guess better. Not better as in healthier, but just better as in better quality of food.
Yeah.
Than I do when left to my own devices.
I don't know. We went to Steak and Shake one night. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
It's pretty standard fare.
True. But we also went to Ruth's Chris.
We did.
And had...
Other end of the spectrum.
Yeah. So everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we did really well for them, but we could have done better. We just sold out of too many things.
Yeah, there was definitely some main things at the show, like all the T-Dragon Society stuff, and the Scott Pilgrim game, and... I don't think Scott Pilgrim game sold out.
No, but T-Dragon game and books and Renegade sold out of the game.
Yeah, all that stuff sold out.
We sold out of a lot. I'm not even going to name them. We sold out of a lot of trades.
We did, yeah. Hard to remember now.
Well, it's not of specific consequence. Like, Zach Laner heard me saying that we sold out of My Boyfriend is a Bear, and he's like, oh, did you tell Cat Ferris? I'm like, that you sold out of it? I'm like, no, we have it here at the store.
Yeah.
We sold out of it.
The quantity that was taken by Oni to Gen Con sold out.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we drove home.
Yep.
We did it. That's our Gen Con recap. But while we were gone, things still happen in the comics industry. But the few things we're going to talk about now just happened. Yeah.
So one of the things, occasionally, you know, in darker moments, I think, God, if Challengers goes away, like, I don't, like, job-wise, I don't really know what I would do. Like, I have theories about what I do, but I don't have, like, a firm plan. And one of the things is, I don't know, like, a resume. I don't know exactly, I've never really had to put together a resume. All the jobs I've ever had are usually things that fell into my lap, more or less, or I created for myself. But the idea of, like, putting together a resume of, like, selling myself to someone hiring, I don't really have any experience doing that. And I don't think highly enough of myself to be able to do that convincingly. But then we got a secret shopper report, and I'm like, oh, I'm just going to print this out, because it is so above and beyond glowing for the store in general and me specifically that I'm like, I'm just going to hand this to a prospective employer and go, this is what you're hiring. This is what you're going to get. I'm confident in that.
Don't include that picture.
The picture's not great. The picture was stealthily done, but it was still like, I lunging?
Legitimately, it was the angle of an upskirt photo.
Yeah. Not a huge fan of that.
No. It's funny.
Everything else was good though. Liked everything.
The Secret Shopper was in the Tuesday night that I left for Gen Con.
Yeah, but you were there.
I was there. Yeah.
I mentioned to you. Pretty sure that was a Secret Shopper.
Yeah.
Because and I've mentioned this before. The dead giveaway is always they have to take a photo of the exterior of the store, and
it's like people take photos of the outside of our store often, especially with their kids. But they're doing it of the window art, so they're angled down.
Yeah, the open sign and the front door is the thing they have to get in the photo for Secret Shopper, like where the hours are and all that stuff. So basically, someone on the sidewalk of Western Avenue on a Tuesday night
between 5 and 7 o'clock, taking a photo of our front door, is always a secret shopper.
Yep.
Always. And since, for the most part, I'm at the side counter looking out the door, I'm seeing them do it. I never miss them doing it. So even if I missed every other dead giveaway when they came in, that's the thing where it's like, that's a secret shopper.
I'm not saying they wouldn't get excellent service.
Of course they would.
If we didn't know they were a secret shopper.
Yes.
But when you know, maybe there's a tendency to turn it up a little bit.
A little bit. But at the same time, that's always so fruitless because, like, I'm the one reading the report. I'm not getting fired.
Yeah.
I'm not getting a bonus. Like, who cares? The only thing I have to do is not sell them Wednesday's books. Everything else, who
But
gives a
what
shit?
if their sick child is dying of cancer in the hospital, needs those books? The doctor said this is the only thing that'll help them.
If the Make-A-Wish people contacted me and said, this dying child will not live until Wednesday and desperately wants to read these 3 Marvel DC books, then I would say yes.
I'd wait and see.
No, I do.
Like, unless it's John Cena calling me directly, I don't believe it's Make-A-Wish.
No, I'd need someone higher up than John
Just on
Cena.
the phone? You believe it?
I mean, I would need them to then... I would set them aside, and then I would need them to come in and show me
verify.
documentation.
Okay, that's fair. That's fine.
Because they can't get the comics over the phone.
Right.
But if they called and said, this kid's going to be dead in 3 hours, and he needs to know what happens in Amazing Spider-Man right now, like, I would say...
Put him on the phone, I'll read it to him.
I would say, come by, show me a card that says you're from Make-A-Wish, some sort of lanyard that has a badge on it, and then, fine. I will break the diamond rules for that child.
But yeah, this report was glowing.
It was probably the best one I've ever gotten from any company. And it was definitely the one where it's like, yeah, this is what I hand in if I have to, like, beg for a job from somebody.
There was one. I had one criticism. One thing I read that was blatantly wrong, but not as blatantly wrong as we were showing a monster truck rally on the TV.
Sure.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a good report. I was happy that it was positive, and
I mean, they're always fun. You listener, know we've read them before.
Yeah. This one was great, though. I really liked it, and I was appreciated the kind words. What else happened in the comics industry? Because I don't think you meant just the Secret Shopper report.
I didn't. I meant, well, I thought you were going to bring it up because you wanted to hear me groan.
I can. There was an announcement back at C2E2. Hey-oh.
Wait, sorry. I jumped the gun.
Save it. There was an announcement back at C2E2 at the X-Men panel. The final slide they showed was a thing that just said Uncanny X-Men. And I think it said, like, coming soon or something.
Fall.
Yeah.
Fall 2018.
Yeah, and there was no announcement made at the panel, and there was no elaboration from anybody about what that slide meant, just that it's coming up. Well, today, it was announced by Marvel that it is an Uncanny X-Men event called Uncanny X-Men Disassembled, and it is a 10-part weekly event in the vein of Avengers No Surrender.
Weekly, a 10-issue weekly X-Men event.
There's like 3 different artists. The writers are
4 artists and 3 writers.
4 artists. The 3 writers are Kelly Thompson, who's doing the Mr. and Mrs. X book, Ed Brisson, who's doing Extermination, and Matthew Rosenberg,
who's doing Astonishing X-Men.
Astonishing X-Men had done the Phoenix miniseries. Tom Taylor apparently does not get a look in, even though it features a ton of X-Men Red characters.
Sure.
Gotta assume X-Men Red is probably not coming out in November when Uncanny X-Men Disassembled launches.
So, looking at the image is by David Marquez.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the image, it's the Astonishing X-Men team, it's the Weapon X team, it's X-Men Red. You know who's not in it?
Who's not in it? X-Men
Blue.
Okay.
The young X-Men.
Depending on how Extermination shakes out, might answer that question.
The Wolverine.
The boy Wolverine?
The boy Wolverine.
Yeah.
No, Dal, there is no other.
Yeah, I don't know what...
X-23 was there.
I don't know what his deal is going to be via Return of Wolverine. He might not be... They might not know he's alive yet.
It's so dumb.
I'm just guessing.
With all of these return books and Hunt for books and whatnot.
At least his claws heat up now.
And also, well, we don't know that. It hasn't happened.
No, I mean, they've said the claws heat up now.
And also, I, for some reason, have it in my head that Cyclops is coming back in Extermination.
Yeah, you definitely think that.
Yeah, I do. So, yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I know that Avengers No Surrender did well for Marvel, so it's kind of not a surprise that they would want to repeat that with other brands.
Franchises?
The X-Men's kind of a natural fit. They're wrapping up X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold. They're wrapping up Old Man Logan. We've heard plenty of times that there is an incoming refresh to the X-Men franchise. Certainly a way to kind of prime that is to have a giant weekly X-Men event to kind of wrap up threads, kill off characters, establish and re-establish status quos.
I mean, I'm okay with it being weekly if all these other series are done or not happening by the time this comes out, which is November.
Yeah, again, Blue and Gold definitely done. They wrap up in October. Old Man Logan, I'm pretty sure, is also wrapping up in October.
Okay.
I don't know about Weapon X, but I'm pretty sure that's done.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. Its sales are not strong in our store.
No. So again, that just leaves X-Men Red, which I don't think has been announced as wrapping up, so that may run in November, but the only way you can really do a weekly series like this is if nothing else is coming out. If that's the X-Men book for 2 months. Again, it might not be, but yeah, I would not expect X-Men Red to be running in November, December, and if it is, I gotta assume it's done in December.
I just imagine that in that 10-issue time period, though, we'll still have, like, X-Men Gold Annual 3 and X-Men Blue Annual whatever.
I mean, Mr. and Mrs. X, I think, is still running.
Yeah?
I think. So that's definitely
But they're
happening.
featured prominently in the image.
But yeah, I know pretty much everything else is done. X-23 I don't think is going anywhere. I don't think.
I hope not. It's good so far.
So they don't have a lot of solo X-Men character stuff running right now, but I don't expect them to go away. It's just the team books. Avengers was the same way. I mean, they would still have solo stuff running. And then... Yeah, it was just the main books, the team books that were going away.
So that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I think it's fine. I'm not crazy excited about it. I'm not a huge fan of 2/3 of the writing team. I like Matthew Rosenberg on Astonishing X-Men, but he's been very uneven for me as a writer at Marvel.
Oh yeah, there's like 8 multiple mans on the poster too.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it'll do well sales-wise, though. I think it'll definitely... No Surrender proved that you can draw people back in if you just say, this is the one book that's running for 10 weeks. The weekly part doesn't really bother them. The fact that they're not having 2 or 3 or 4 different X-Men titles, which, if anything, should be a lesson to Marvel going forward, you know? Maybe when you wrap up Uncanny X-Men Disassembled in January... Maybe just do a book called X-Men and do it like Avengers. It comes out 18 times a year or whatever. It comes out 24 times a year. Yeah, and that's the book. The one book.
But, Dal, you and I know differently. You and I know of a thing coming out where they're not keeping to that rule.
Oh, I don't remember. I mean,
okay.
I might have known at one point, but I don't... Yeah, I don't anymore.
I mean, what you're praising them for, they are deliberately not doing in this next thing.
Okay.
But we can't talk about it.
And I don't remember it, so okay.
So that was just announced today.
Yes.
We thought we would drop it in. Look, comic news and a comic industry
a little bit.
Business podcast thing.
A little bit.
But this episode is now super long, so yeah, by the time you listen to this, we just had Zach Lehner and Danielle Corsetto in, and we will hopefully have had Ron Simmons in, provided he doesn't get a flight canceled. And just coming up by the end of the month, we got... Mike Norton for Lil Donnie on Wednesday, August 22nd, and 2 days later on Friday, August 24th, we're having a big old party for Ryan Brown that was announced on this podcast first.
Neat.
Now it's everywhere else, but announced there. So there you have it. We hope you enjoyed all the different facets of our Gen Con experience. Thanks for gaming.
And keep gaming games.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.